I really shouldn't be sad because it's just the season 1 finale. We still have 3 more seasons to go. But it's a weird feeling. I'm sad that it's the ending of season 1, for sure, because I feel like, on the one hand, I feel like I just started this show, which it's been a couple months, but I feel like I just started the show. But on the other hand, I feel like it's been a year already. I feel like it's already been a year, and it's only been a couple months. But there's been so much that's happened in this show, and I'm glad I'm doing a recap video because I feel like I'm going to need to refresh myself with everything that's happened before moving into season 2. I can't believe y'all had to wait so many years between season 1 and season 2. I can't believe that. That blows my mind. Someone said it was like 4 years. 4 years? How are you all still alive? How are you all okay? I definitely heard some people say that they started reading the manga because they just got tired of waiting. Honestly, I don't blame you. If you ended up reading the manga waiting that long, I don't blame you because that's so long to wait in between seasons. And then season 2 is only 12 episodes, so it's like half the length of the first one. So I'll reserve all my judgment for season 2 when it happens. But I feel like so much has gone down in this show already, and yet we're just scratching the surface of Titan lore, of this world building, of these characters. We've been through so much and done so much already with this show, but we've barely even begun, which is a crazy feeling, right? So going into this episode, I'm planning to watch all the OVAs in a week. So I'm recording this a little bit ahead. So I'm sure that by the time this airs, there's gonna be a lot of extra comments on the other episodes, and hopefully I can incorporate them into the recap. What I'm gonna be doing is that this is premiering today, and then throughout the week, we're going to do a video. I'm doing a reaction of Distress and Intruder, the 2 non-canonical but still canonical OVAs that aren't really relevant to the plot, but they're still supposed to be fun. Going to do those. And then do No Regrets, which is Levi's backstory, which I'm super excited about. And then do Ilse's Notebook, which I've heard is very important to the plot. Gonna watch that. And then do the recap video and season 2 premiere. I've decided to do on the same day, like do the recap video in the morning and season 2 premiere at night. So should be a lot of fun. I've got some fun stuff planned for the recap and review, so it's gonna be a lot of fun. Y'all have told me that I have to watch Attack on Titan in 9 minutes. You said it's like a rite of passage if you watch Attack on Titan. So in the recap video, I'm going to be doing a reaction of Attack on Titan in 9 minutes. That's gonna be on the recap video that will be here on Saturday. And then I'm also going to be ranking the characters, doing like a little... I found a site that does the tier generators for each season, which I think is cool. So the season 1 tier, I'm going to do just the season 1 tier characters for Attack on Titan there. And if somebody's left out, I'll just pop them in there and talk about the characters, talk about my theories on what was going to happen and didn't pan out, answering questions from Patreon, just doing a lot of fun stuff. So the recap video will be a lot of fun. I was going to do a live stream, but then I thought that sounds like it's going to have way too many spoilers. Like people in the chat get excited and you might let out a spoiler, and I don't have a moderator. So I was like, let's just not do a spoilery live stream yet. We'll save that for the end of the series and it'll be massive. But in the meantime, but we still have to get through this episode here, episode 25. I did want to point out, speaking of comments that have popped up since I've been doing these reactions, Annie Flowers made a comment from episode 19 talking about something that I hadn't even considered. And it was the concept of, and it kind of relates to where this episode starts, of Aaron's hesitancy to turn into the Titan. And back in the Bite episode, where he decided to go with the squad and stay with the group and stay with Erwin's plan, even though they didn't even know about Erwin's plan at the time. Levi's shocked face. Annie pointed out, she's like, I think that Levi was shocked because he wanted Aaron to turn into the Titan and he thought he would. And he was shocked that he chose otherwise. And we talked about it in the comments, but it's kind of a thing where I believe that Levi and Erwin trust each other completely, but it could, I think, and I agree with Annie on this, that I think Levi maybe didn't fully agree with Erwin's plan. He's going to trust him and go along with it because he's his commanding officer and he values Erwin's judgment. But I think that there's a part of Levi that maybe thought that this wasn't going to work and was like, yeah, just transform Aaron and battle it out and we'll go from there. And then when Aaron chose not to, Levi was like, oh, okay, we are going to go with Erwin's plan. Cool. But that was just a really cool thing to bring up, because at first I thought Levi was shocked that Aaron, had faith in his teammates. But then I was like, wait, maybe Levi had wanted him to turn into the Titan. And that kind of goes back to the last episode, right? When Levi's sitting at the table and Aaron makes the comment that it's his fault, he chose poorly. Levi doesn't really say yes or no to that. He doesn't tell him he made a bad choice. He wasn't like, oh, no, your choice was good. He did not say that. He said, it's too late to wonder what could have been. Like, you can't change the past. So after hearing Annie's comment, I'm like, yeah, maybe Levi had wanted Aaron to turn into the Titan. And here we go. Here we are. So last episode was very tense, very crazy. Aaron still having hesitation on turning into the Titan. I'm still so conflicted. And this is one of those things where as I'm recording ahead, the disadvantage is I can't ask you all for your opinions, but I'm sure that in the recap video, I'll talk about this. But there's a brief part of me that's like, was Aaron attracted to Annie and liked Annie? And that's why he's hesitant? And Mika's like super hardcore yandere jealous of her because of it? There's a part of me that's like, yeah, maybe he was. Maybe he is. Maybe he does care about Annie in that way or have special feelings towards her. And that's a big part of his hesitancy. It could be. I don't know. I mean, Aaron's a 15-year-old guy, sure, okay. But I'm so intrigued by that. There's a part of me that's like, yeah, that might be the case. And there's a part of me that's like, nah, it's just that she can become a Titan and he knows what that feels like. And so he has some empathy for her because he probably thinks she's going through the same turmoil that he goes through turning into the Titan. And then Mika says like, she's killed people that are our friends and she's going to kill all of us. So you need to put that aside right now and focus on the mission. So I despite her yandere intentions, I do have to agree with Mika on this. Like we can focus on that whole debacle later. Right now we got to save Stohess. And things are not looking good because the military police are not up to par. Jean and Armin are going to give me an absolute nervous breakdown if something happens to either one of them this episode. I'm going to scream at this computer. So headphone warning for all. It's the season finale of this show. And I thought stuff was going to go down last episode. And then right there at the end, they give us him transforming. And I'm like, oh no, we're saving it all for this one. We're saving it for this one. Cool. Great. I'm having decaf coffee because I'm so hyped up I don't need the extra caffeine. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited, y'all. But it's going to be, I've heard there's an after credits scene. I usually don't stick around for after credits, but for the record, at the start of each season, I'm going to go to, there's a page that I found that's a non-spoiler. It'll just tell you, I think it's like the up-to-date one. It'll just tell you if there's an after credit scene or not. And I'm going to make notes for each episode that has an after credit scene. So I will watch that part. So I'll know ahead of time. But then I probably won't watch the preview because I don't want to be surprised. And I like going into these episodes not knowing what to expect. So, and sometimes previews can be spoilery even if they don't intend to be. So there's that. I've also been told that I should not watch the episode 1 of season 2 OP until the end of the episode, which is curious. So that's going to be odd. I'm going to have to time that right, but I'll probably just have to stop the reaction, go through the OP, and then at the very end, backtrack and watch it with y'all. So we shall see. But guys, I have rambled enough. Let's do this. Let us go into the season finale of Attack on Titan, and we are going to start, called Wall. Just Wall. Show, you can't do that, but you can. So, okay. But yeah, all right, we're going to start this episode here in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. What? Oh my god. Oh my god. What the hell? What? I was expecting for the end credit scene for us to get, when they started panning towards over the city, I'm like, okay, we're gonna see the Colossal and Armored Titan. We're gonna see who it is. We're gonna see them there. Just when you thought this show couldn't get more batshit crazy, we got 2 revelations here about the Titans that I'm like, wait a minute, hold on, why are we now introducing this? And you all had to wait 4 years? 4 years after that in shot? Y'all are saints. If I could mail y'all a cookie and a Medal of Honor, I would. Because that's insanity. How? Yeah, I would have just picked up the manga right after that and been like, nope, gotta find out. Holy cow. Okay, so we have lots of things to talk about. Lots of things to talk about, as per usual with this episode. God, there's so much. This episode, circling back to so much from this whole season, like circling back to the beginning in so many ways, but also giving us foreshadowing of what could possibly be to come. And I think that's been the most intriguing thing about this episode, is revealing certain things about people's characters and where it could go to from here. That I'm like, okay, show, yeah, I see what you're playing at. I see what you're setting up, and it's so expert to have Hanji narrate the ending there of saying, people are gonna die. Not telling you who, but more people are gonna die. I'm like, we lost like 24 known people in this first season. I'm like, I'm really surprised. First of all, I'm really surprised that Marlo and Hitch were not only not killed, but didn't really have anything to do this episode. I was fully convinced that Marlo and Hitch would have a big part in this. No! We saw them for like 1 second where Hitch was complaining that there was a Titan in the walls, and that's it. So I'm kind of excited about that because I like Marlo's character, and Hitch, I don't like Hitch, but that makes her fascinating that she's still alive, because I thought for sure she'd die this season. So the fact that they're still alive and still with the military police, I think is really cool, because they're going to do what I thought Annie was going to do all along. Like, before we figured out Annie was the female Titan, what I thought was going to happen was that there was going to be somebody that Annie, since she was the only one that went to the military police, and we don't know hardly anything about the military police, I thought she was going to be our fly on the wall to see the inner workings of the political atmosphere, about the cults, about everything going on inside Walsina. And then she was the female Titan, so it's like, okay, well, that's not going to happen. So I like the fact we were introduced to Marlo and Hitch, because I feel like they're going to be that inside fly on the wall, and we're going to get to see the inner workings of the military police through them instead. And so that's really cool. I like that setup, hopefully, for future episodes, that we get to join them. Because I do like Marlo's character, so I think that could be interesting. But, God, we go through, yeah, let's cut to... I'm really surprised. I'm going to be honest. A lot of you said that the ending, the OP was spoilery. And when Hanji had that shot, that bullet through the eye, I really thought Hanji was going to, like, get shot in the face this episode, but that didn't happen. So, interesting. So, yeah. I have to say, here's my one thing. It's the chicken before the egg theory. What came first? The chicken before the egg. Did this episode where these religious cult people get crushed by Annie's butt, did that come first? Or did Game of Thrones, when the cathedral gets the bell tower through it and blows up, did that come? Which came first? George R. R. Martin's book where the bell tower blows up with all the religious people in it, or this? Because if that part of Game of Thrones is based off of this, that's genius. Because the mangaka clearly draws a lot of Game of Thrones inspiration. Genius. I love the irony that these people are all praying to the three walls, and it's a Titan's butt that squashes half of them. That is amazing. So, this whole thing about the walls, they do bring up a really good point, and I wanted to talk about it in the moment, and then things happened. But the walls of light born of God's hand. So that's been my one thing about this whole series, is them saying, is these walls are massive. They're huge. They clearly took time to make because they are solid. They're of fortitude. So I'm like, who built the walls, right? And from the end credit, there's a Titan in the wall. So, are the Titans trying to break the walls down to get into the city, or is part of it that they're trying to get back to their own kind and get their own kind out of the walls? What the hell? And if the Titans could be placed in the walls, because thinking about it, my thoughts this whole season has been, okay, we've got a Titan that's the size of the Colossal Titan. If you had a whole fleet of them, you could build the wall probably in no time. You just have to have the resources like the stone and stuff. So, Were there like a group of people that could all turn into like the colossal titans that originally built the wall and then humanity turned on them? Or something happened? I'm fascinated now, especially knowing that there's a titan in the wall. Ugh. And it was like the titan that was like Annie, so... But why? so there's a lot more in this episode, but that just floors me. And so, yeah, the whole thing. And I like that Annie tries to immediately get up and run away to get away from Aaron, and try to get across the wall. Yeah. So my big question in all of this is, where has the Colossal and Armored Titan been? They totally went MIA after episode 5, which I think reiterates my point that Annie... okay. And clearly from the very end there with her dad, I want to pause and see the stuff with her dad. Pause and close up. But I'm like, I'm starting to think that maybe Annie wasn't working with the government or a third party. She was just working on her own. And that her dad, kind of like Aaron's dad, told her information about the Titans. And she's like, holy shit. And so her whole goal was to get Aaron away from everyone so that she could tell him the thing. Because honestly, if Aaron hadn't transformed into a Titan that day, would she have even done any of this? That's the thing. That's the thing, right? If that battle at Trost hadn't have happened, then if none of that had happened and Aaron didn't transform that day, would Annie have even tried to do anything with Aaron? Or would she have just gone to the military police? Because she said her whole goal was to survive. And the military police is your best chance at survival. We've established through the little cue cards that you're only getting refuge in the inner walls if you're in the military police or if you're royal family or their relatives or some high dignitary. So maybe Annie was honestly just trying to get into the military police and never become a Titan again. But because Trost happened, she's like, she saw Aaron transform and was like, shit, I need to tell him about the Titans and we need to like form an alliance. Was that this whole thing? But she never was one-on-one with him. Everyone else was always around Aaron. Mikasa and Armin and Erwin and Levi and everybody has always been around Aaron. So she's never had him one-on-one by himself. And so I think that if she had got him by himself, she could have told him what she knew and been like, look, you're a kindred spirit. We are both able to turn into Titans. So here's the deal. But because she was never given that opportunity, and because she knows now that Aaron is working with the scouts, that it's going to be pointless to try to talk to him now, she ended up having to fight him. So that makes me believe that the Colossal Titan and Armored Titan are still working for another faction or some inside group, and Annie was a separate operative. But now that Annie's been captured, she's like, crap, I don't have anybody to fall back on. No one's going to come rescue me. That's the thing. If she's working by herself, then she's probably worried there's no one to come rescue her because nobody cares, right? If she was working with the Colossal Titan and the Armored Titan, then they would probably try to bust her out, right? Because she's an operative. But if she's working solo, then there's no one to come rescue her unless this whole incident has drawn the attention of the Colossal Titan and the Armored Titan, and then maybe they're going to try to break her out because she can turn into a Titan too, and they don't want secrets to be found out. Oh, honey. It all slowly starts to kind of piece together, and I could be totally off base. I could be wrong. Don't spoil me. But so many theories. And so yeah, they get there out in the open where it's just the two of them. And I love Aaron's monologue. He's like, you always acted and found everything stupid. You acted apathetic. You seemed bored. You didn't seem motivated by anything. But you do have a lively spirit. There were times you looked alive when you were fighting. And that's how he knew it was her. When you're showing off your martial arts, that's when... And so Aaron clearly respects Annie. He clearly respects her. But he's like, you also look like a liar. So I don't know. I don't know if Aaron really liked Annie in like anything beyond a friendly sense, but he clearly respected her despite the fact that he called her a liar. But he's like, what are you fighting for? Who are you fighting for? Like, what's the point? And he's like, why did you kill all these people? Was what you were fighting for worth it? And so, I mean, clearly she thinks it is, because otherwise why would she go through all this length to do it? But man, Him just tossing her around like it's nothing. And yeah, Mikasa getting up, and so we see Marlo and Hitch and all that. And then going back to the scene with Erwin, oh my god. The damage to the city is unbelievable. There are casualties, both civilian and military. And then Niall pointing that gun at him, is this all due to your plan? And here's the thing, Erwin is a fascinating character. He's a lot more blunt than I took him for. Like, at first I thought he was more like Pixis, where he's really strategic. And Erwin is strategic, but he's not quite got the finesse of Pixis or the compassion of Levi. He's a really stoic, cold person. But he has a passionate, fiery side to him, and we'll see that later. But he's like, yeah, this is all my doing. I'm doing this. It was my personal decision. I don't intend to make excuses. This was all to save mankind. And that's the thing. Erwin doing all of this and taking all the responsibility, saying it was all for the betterment of mankind. And Niall being like, what part of this made you think it was going to end well? Like, how is this? And that shot of the girl, like, bloody, walking through the streets crying, like, how is this a human victory? Oh my gosh, that symbolism of her just walking with, like, tears and blood through the ruins of Stohess is so, so cool. And then, yeah, he's like, you're a traitor, and I could execute here and now, and no one would care. And I like that the whole time Levi is slowly just watching, just like, what are you going to do, Erwin? And doesn't even bat an eye when Erwin says, do what you have to, but if I die, you're in charge. And here's the thing, we established, I love the callback, I love the payoff, that back in episode 23, 2 episodes ago, but it seems like forever, in episode 23, I like that we established that Niall and them, that he doesn't like taking responsibility. He pushed all the responsibility for the mission off to Marlo. He gave him the plan, said, here, go do whatever, and pushed it all off on him. Niall doesn't like to take responsibility. And so Erwin did a very Pixis-like maneuver where he's like, sure, get rid of me, but then you're in charge. How you gonna handle it? And I love that he even backs it up. He's like, okay, you cannot let the female Titan escape. Payhel's in charge of formation. Vyler oversees supplies. Here's what all the people are doing. You need to work with her to do this and this. And he's like, whoa, wait a minute. I'm not gonna take this over. No way. He's like, no. Are you serious? He's like, are you really telling me that this will help humanity? And as the city is on fire and in ruins, Erwin's like, yeah, it's a step forward. And it's crazy because on the surface, it doesn't seem like that at all. It seems like this was a huge loss. But the fact that they captured Annie, the fact that she didn't get away, I think is huge. I mean, granted, Eren messed up, and we're going to talk about that. But the fact that they kept her from leaving is huge. And I think that the fact that they even have her imprisoned right now is a big deal. And so, yeah, you can't change anything without sacrifice. And Erwin's like, yeah, Stohess, people died, the city's in ruins, but if we hadn't have done this now, eventually Walsina would have collapsed. And then it would have been 20 times worse. So, do you lose the small battles to win the war, or what do you do? And Erwin's conviction is, it's admirable. I don't know if he makes the best decisions. A lot of you have commented that I really like Erwin's character, but like some people have commented, I think that some of his decisions are so blunt, and he doesn't communicate with everyone, right? He doesn't communicate with everyone. He only communicates with certain people. So only certain people know the plan. So then other people end up being confused. So some of his methods are a little bit questionable, but I like Levi's face of concern here where he's like, the priority is civilian rescue and evacuation. So they're going to go deeper into Walsina while they arrest Erwin. And Erwin, a trial will decide your punishment. And Erwin's like, sure, let's go. After everything's over, I'll go right with you. And then I like that Erwin's like, Levi, don't go. He's like, you dislike pointless deaths. And Levi's like, yeah, I despise it, whether it be mine or me causing someone else's. And then him coming and saving Eren at the end. God, Levi. Man among men. I didn't think he'd fight at all in this battle, but I'm so glad he did. So, we've got Hanji and Jean and Armin and Mikasa. And Armin, so many interesting things. Armin talking about getting rid in order to overcome a monster, you must be willing to sacrifice your humanity and become a monster yourself. And that Aaron does. And again, scary time with Aaron. I feel like instead of story time with Aaron, it's scary time with Aaron. Because when he's in this Titan body, I get a little concerned. Even when Aaron is in control, I get a little concerned. But here we get, okay, so we get this thing with Annie, this flashback. And I want to pause on it, on these screen caps, to see something. But her getting smacked in the face. And they're outside of a shack. And he says, Annie. And we don't see the dad's face fully. But we see just, she just kicks him into the wall. And she's like gonna harden her skin and beat the snot out of him. And just beating the tar out of him. And that emotion, like screaming, like her like screaming as a Titan. And so then we get to see like her looking in the glass and seeing her face but not seeing him. Oh, that's so good. Your dad is the only one on your side. And him hugging her. Oh. And she just looks in shock. So I wonder if he told her about the whole thing with the Titans and was like, even if the world rejects you. Because I remember that later on, he's like, even if the world rejects you and goes against you, like what we're doing. So that makes me think that maybe the dad is part of some underground like movement and had got her involved. Kind of like, I'm seeing a lot of parallels between Annie and Aaron in this episode, especially with their fathers. I'm seeing a lot of parallels. I'm seeing a lot of parallels of Annie finding out this secret knowledge and being terrified about it, and the dad saying, I'll always be on your side even when no one else is. And then we have Aaron's dad being like, here's this key to secret knowledge. I know what it is, and I entrust you to know what it is. So it's the father figures entrusting their children with some horrific knowledge, I'm assuming, and knowing that they'll do the right thing even if everybody turns on them. Which is kind of foreshadowing, because here's the thing with Aaron. This episode marks some interesting turns and some stuff that I can see maybe coming down the road. But like I said, scary time with Aaron. He says, I'll kill the Titans, which has been his goal the entire time. So we're calling back to episode 1 where he said he'd kill the Titans. Calling back to it. Every last one of them. But him smiling like that and like the saliva and stuff with his teeth. Because it's like his subconscious, his instinct is like kicking in. And him going after her and regenerating everything so quickly. And just like a feral monster, just like on all fours leaping towards her. Like, what the hell? And I love that tracking shot where they just barrel through the front near the wall. That's so good. But I like that Hanji stops me because I'm like, he's kind of like an animal right now. You ain't going to reach him, honey. Like, do not go. I don't know if Aaron would recognize you at this point. Because, yeah. And his arm's trying to go back. And them just like wrestling, and then him taking his hand and like ripping her face off. Oh my god. And then I like that they all meet on the bridge, and Erwin seeing everything. Erwin seeing everything is so good. He's like, this is what's going to turn the tide and turn the battle away in our favor. And him ripping her arm off. Oh my god. I like wanted them to get away because I'm like, they're smashing into buildings. And him landing and just coming through the stone, which now that we know that there's Titans in the wall, that's kind of symbolic and weird. But yeah, she grips the wall to try to get over it. And it looked like Hanji for a second was going to be like, no, we need to stop her from doing that. And him trying to bite her leg off. And he bit the leg off. Ugh. And I love her trying to scale it and looking like her face is so messed up. And then Mikasa's like, nah, bitch. This is Mikasa's revenge. Her cutting the fingers off. Oh my God. And what a moment for Mikasa. That was such a badass moment where she's like sitting on her face. And she's just like, Annie, fall. And just kicks her off. Girl. Oh, Mikasa, honey. And then all Annie can see is the sky above her. And then her dad like kneeling before her. I was wrong. It's too late to ask for your forgiveness. And she looks terrified. But there's one thing I want to ask of you. And her eyes kind of look like Aaron's there, so that's interesting. But then her falling down and Aaron getting back up and just lunging at her. You can make the whole world your enemy. And he just like smashes down and get the arm. And that shot, the shot of the arm clutching the wall and Erwin just staring like this is us winning. Oh my God, that shot of Erwin. I'll destroy the entire world. Even if the whole world hates you. Your dad is the one person who is on your side. But here's the thing. I don't think that he is. I think Aaron's on her side too. As soon as they were worried about him eating her, but I was like, no. He's like, so promise me that you will return. So he like tears off the neck just like she did, right? And he sees her, but she's crying. And he stops. And he hesitates. And then something weird happens, right? So before we get to the weirdness, I just want to say that the fact that he wants... So Annie and Aaron both have missions to return to their homes, which I find interesting. Aaron's mission is to return to his home to find the basement. And the dad of Annie, Mr. Leonhardt or whatever, wants her to return to him. So many parallels between them. But then this craziness happens. I'm like, wait, what? They're fusing. Why? This is a thing that can happen? And she like crystallizes herself up. And then Levi's like, I'm getting you out of here before this gets bad. Don't eat a valuable witness, you idiot. So, what was about to happen? Can Titans merge? Is it like Power Rangers where they, like, 5 of them all become one? Show. Why? Just... Because it looked like Annie was protecting herself. But, like, what the heck? That part's so confusing to me. Do not spoil. I'm sure it will get explained. Also, the, like, burn marks on Aaron and Annie's face from being connected to the Titan, they lingered more this time. You know, before they were there right when they first got out and they disappeared. Now they're, like, lingering. Which is creepy. Yeah, don't spoil me on the whole... Oh, my God. This is a whole big wall of text about the walls. So, okay. I'm gonna need to take a big old sip. A big old sip, because we got stuff. We got stuff to talk about. All right. So, hold on. Okay. Things we can share so far. This is a big wall of text, so you'll have to excuse me as I'm reading this. The year, 784. So, wait, okay. So the year 784. So is it 884 now? So it's 100 years ago, right? The walls, year 784. One blistering hot night, a miner decided to dig under Walsina to live within the inner ring. Life in Walsina would be pretty nice. That thought had come to him suddenly a few days ago as he dug with his shovel deep in a coal mine. In a way, you could call it divine inspiration. And so, for the next few days, he wandered along the wall, finally settling on a spot where the dense forest pressed against it. No one would chance upon him, and the overhead leaves would shelter him and his task from the prying eyes of the guards above. On the next night he began. Using his trusty shovel, the miner began to dig. The work went smoothly, and before long the pit was as deep as he was tall. When he could no longer fling the dirt outside it, he stuffed it into sacks, climbing a ladder to discard it. Completely dedicated to the task at hand, he took only a few short breaks to drink water and to ease his weary muscles. After spending 20 years of his life digging without a day of rest, the miner knew he was an expert at it, and during that time he learned to dig deeper, more quickly, and more efficiently than anyone else. Tunnels that would stump any other miner were no match for a shovel. But that day was different. He dug for hours, yet never seemed to get anywhere. As he dug, he probed to either side of the main pit with his shovel, but it was no use. The wall's foundation seemed to go down forever, deep into the earth, blocking his path at every turn. Still, he persevered. Any thought of digging his way to an easy life within the wall Cena had long been forgotten. He simply wanted to conquer the wall. I'm willing to bet all the years I've spent digging that I will beat this wall, he said to himself, wiping the sweat from his brow. The hole was more than 4 or 5 times the miner's height when he struck hard rock. He wondered, bedrock, but it appeared to be the same material as the wall's foundation itself. The miner swung his shovel down hard on the rock. The shovel shattered, but the rock was unscathed. The miner sighed, and his sigh was deeper than any hole he dug in the previous 20 years. So the walls go really deep underground. Good to know. Good to know. Not creepy at all. What's part 2? With a frown, his friend questioned the wall. It's weird, isn't it? The miner said, lifting his drink to his lips. Who knew that the wall went so deep underground? The pair sat across from one another at a table in the back of a tavern in a seedy part of town. Most days, the miner would go there with his friend, his only friend, after work. That day, the day after he tried to dig under the wall, they'd gone there as usual, once the workday was done. And then, the miner told his friend the story, certain his friend could keep a secret. Maybe we're surrounded by walls, not only above ground, but below the ground too, said the miner. Tell me something. What exactly are the walls? His friend cut him off with a cough, glancing around the tavern. The patrons were all busy drinking, hitting on the tavern maid, or yelling at one another. No one was watching them, but even so, the miner decided not to say another word about it. If anyone heard him, the military police would be there in an instant. Does it really matter? His friend asked. Just keep on living here as you always have. You're poor, but you have a job every day and enough money that you can drink. Isn't that enough? Yeah, the miner replied. Yeah, it is. I'll go back to digging. In the end, I guess that's my lot in life. But the next day, the miner didn't show up for work. Nor the next. Nor the day after that. His friend went to his house many times but never saw any sign of him. The miner had no relatives, nor other close friends, so there was no one to ask where he might have gone. Unsure what to do, his friend eventually went to the garrison and told them the whole story. The next day, the military police and garrison organized a large-scale search party. It was a little excessive for one poor miner, even if that miner was a criminal who'd tried to pass under the walls. His friend couldn't understand why they were so bent on finding him, but they never found a trace of the miner, nor even the pit he dug. One day, his friend also vanished, never to be seen again. I just got chills. What? Show, why are you doing all this in the last episode? But okay, so the guy tried to dig under the walls. He dug like 20, 30 feet. The walls still went under. Couldn't dig anymore, so he told his friend about it. But the friend's like, we don't talk about the walls. We don't need to talk about the walls. They're just here. Just be happy and move on with your life. Not suspicious at all. So then the friend disappeared, and so did the hole that he dug. And then later, the other friend vanished too. What the hell? That's like a freaking horror story. This isn't a shonen. This is a horror manga. This is a horror manga that's disguising itself as a shonen. Well, that's terrifying. That's the scariest thing about this episode. And it just like blips out. Nope. No. Not having it. Okay. And I like how, we get back to the episode, I like how Aaron asks where Annie is, and Mika says instantly crestfallen. She's like, fair. And she's trapped in this hardened cocoon of crystal. And I love that John's like trying to beat it out. He's like, you bastard, get out of here, you coward. We've come this far. Won't you say a word, Annie? Come out. Come out and finish what you started. This isn't fair. And then, yeah, Hanji's like, yeah, you might want to stop that because you're just wasting your blades. Or no, it's Levi that stops him. It's useless. Hanji's like, we'll make a net, we'll carry it underground, and the moment that she wakes up, we'll be there. They say that if they can't get information out of Annie, they have nothing to show. But I think the fact that they have the female Titan is a pretty big step. But again, that doesn't answer all the questions. What did we accomplish? Well, I think they accomplished quite a bit, just not in a sustainable, good way. I love that Levi stops short of Erwin, like stops right behind him and says, I don't suppose we can call this operation a success. And Erwin's like, no. We've ensured the continued survival of the Survey Corps, most likely by the skin of our teeth. And he says, I hope so. I feel like Erwin and Levi have this very tense relationship. I know some of you said you ship Levi and Erwin together, and I see it. But I also see, like, it's not animosity between them, but they both challenge each other a lot. Like, I feel like Erwin and Levi, they don't have the same viewpoints, and so they challenge each other constantly. And they're constantly like butting heads and challenging each other and their thoughts. And I really like that. I find it fascinating, though, that they just kind of, they're able to not agree, but still respect each other and follow each other's command. It's very good. But yeah, I just get that vibe, especially when they both are facing opposite directions. So yeah, Erwin getting put in front of the trial and the military police. And he's smart. He says, I didn't want to tell the military police because if the Colossal Titan or Armored Titan are part of them, we wouldn't want them knowing and getting suspicious, right? And they're like, well, what about the damage? And Erwin has nothing to say for that. He's like, our best efforts weren't good enough. I'm sorry. And they're like, that's not enough. And he's like, had we left her alone, the walls would have been destroyed and more people would have died. So what can you do? And so then they're like, after everything that's happened, do you honestly think that we forestalled humanity's extinction? And Erwin's like, yeah, even though we probably can't get anything out of Annie right now, yeah, I think that we have at least helped. And they're like, so this was all for nothing? And he's like, no. I think back to that moment, Erwin, when he looks at the Titans cannibalizing Annie, he had that same expression from that moment as he did when that hand hit the wall, the bridge, and he was looking at Aaron versus Annie. There's a part of me that thinks that Erwin wants to become a Titan. There's a part of me that thinks that Erwin has that desire to become a monster. There's part of me that thinks that, right? I think every time I've seen when Erwin looked at them cannibalizing her and when they saw Aaron versus Annie, there was a part of me that's like, Erwin wants to be able to do that. He wants to have that power. Like, I just got that vibe, right? I could be totally wrong. Don't spoil me. But in the back of my head, I was like, Erwin wishes he could do that. And that would be terrifying. Erwin as a Titan? No. Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Nope. So I love that anytime we go back to Aaron waking up, there's usually a shot of flowers. It's not the blue flower this time. They're purple. But everybody in this room, for some reason, and I didn't comment on it in the reaction, but it made me think of Lord of the Rings and Return of the King when Frodo wakes up and Gandalf and everybody's all in the room greeting him. It made me think of that, only the atmosphere and vibes were exact opposite of relief and happiness. Also, can we comment? I know I said it in the reaction, but Jean, looking like a damn meal over there in the corner. My appreciation for him knows no bounds. So this scene is really, really interesting, and I think this scene is incredibly important because I think that this is the parting of the ways, right? I think this is the start of the parting of the ways. I really do. And it's kind of crazy. how subtle it is. But I'm definitely locking this moment in my head for later seasons. But Aaron's like, so Annie's still frozen. I'm all healed up. And John's pissed off that we can't get anything from Annie, so we didn't get anything from this massive operation. And them saying she was willing to go that far to protect the information. Yeah, she got away from us. Even though they got her, it's funny. And then, but it's Armin, who says Aaron's the one who allowed it. And Mikasa looking like, yeah, I know. And Armin's like, right? Without that one hesitation, they would have got her. And Aaron's like, yeah, you're right. I couldn't do it. When I saw Annie, I froze. And he didn't say that she was crying. That's the thing. So both Aaron and Levi have seen her crying, which I find important. But the fact that Armin brought it up was very telling. That, because I feel like in some ways, Armin probably feels betrayed. Because Armin's like, I gave you that big old speech. We talked about how Annie killed our friends, how she's working for a party that's against humanity, or at least working against humanity on her own. I gave you that speech about rising above humanity to fight monsters, and in the end, you still couldn't do it. And you could just see Armin's disappointment, and John being like, oh, like, and then they called Armin and John for debriefing and questioning. And they're going, and then Armin's like, yeah, see you later. But when he walks away, he doesn't look happy. Armin just looks so disappointed. And Jean looking back and seeing Mikasa with Aaron, it's the same look like from episode 3 when Jean saw Mikasa walking away with Aaron. It's the same shadowed look, like his trust was betrayed. Because Mikasa is so yandere for Aaron. She is so on board the Aaron train that she's willing to overlook so much. But I don't think that Armin and Jean are going to be able to overlook this. That's the thing. That's the parting of the ways. I think Mikasa, no matter what happens, Mikasa's going to stay with Aaron because she's in love with him, because she feels devotion to him, because she believes in him. She has this unshakable faith. But the fact that Armin came out and said, this is your fault, I think is so telling. And so then right before we cut to Armin and John, Aaron saying it felt good, and Mikasa getting worried, it felt good to get beat up. I thought I wouldn't even mind dying. And then Mikasa drawing his attention back, and he's like, well, I don't mean now. That's not how I feel now. And you could tell she's really worried about him. But Aaron's psyche is like a glass plate. Like, it is so fragile and so intricate. And Mikasa is like, she's so glad he came back. And I'm like, dude, do you not get it? She likes you. Put 2 and 2 together. And so Jean's saying it's impossible for me to understand. Abandon your humanity to overcome a monster. That's the only way to win. Again, Armin and Jean, best duo. I love any scene with these two together. And Armin saying it's one possible way that humanity might defeat the Titans. I think Aaron can do it. And so Jean says, well, tell me, if he did become that monster and destroyed all the Titans, would that really be a victory for humanity? And then we see those damn birds of fate, those geese. I thought for a second that the Colossal Titan was going to appear again right at the end of the season. I was like, oh, don't do this. Don't do it. And the shot of the food, of Aaron looking at the food like he doesn't want to eat, but then Mika says, like, you need to eat to get your strength back. And then he just tears into the food like a damn monster. And Armin saying, it won't be easy to overcome, but I believe we've gained a tremendous opportunity to ensure the survival of humanity. An opportunity, not an end-all be-all, but a way compared to when we never even imagined that humans could transform into Titans. The very fact that we've captured one of the enemy is a massive step forward. Yeah. They are out there, and we'll track them all down. All the Titans within the walls. And then we see the one that's actually within the wall. It's like, oh my God. That shot of Aaron just like devouring that food. Very symbolic, very related to the Titan, right? And I like that Armin says there's not Aaron fighting. Aaron can surely destroy the Titans. Absolutely. But that's not the only way they can win. I like that Armin establishes that. Aaron's not their only salvation, at least in his mind. And Sean's like, okay. And then Erwin, with that unshakable conviction, just being like, okay, it's our turn to attack. It's our turn to do an attack on Titan within the walls. Yes, yes. Roll credits, roll credits. And so the Survey Corps have custody of Annie, and Hanji's just there shaking like wanting to do something and keeping her deep underground. And Levi just looking at her like, what to do with you? And then Hanji saying it would take much sacrifice and time before humanity learned what it was that held them captive. Ooh, all the secrets being built up. So we got that final shot of people riding out from the Survey Corps, right? But they weren't in Survey Corps gear. So it looks like there's a camp. So I'm curious. There's like a camp because they had a tent up there. And so we've got a group. There's Connie, and there's Reiner and Bertolt, and Krista, and the girl with the freckles, and Sasha. But they're not in their Survey Corps gear. So, what? And they weren't in the battle. They weren't in the battle at Stohess. They weren't part of Levi's squad that went along, so curious where they're going. And Mikasa being there with Aaron, and Aaron's got the damn key back to that damn basement. Oh man, y'all. And then at the very, very end, inside Wall Cena, right where the Titan had tried to climb over. I want to see this. And it almost looks like a smile. What the fudge? What the fudge? But that Titan is like all muscle and, but I know. So yeah. Cool. I'm really excited to recap this whole season from start to finish and talk about it. I have no clue where Reiner and their group's going. They're not in their survey gear. Did they just abandon? Did they just deflect? Did they defect? Did they defect from the group? Are they going rogue? I don't know. I don't know. I'm so curious. Thank God I'm not waiting 4 years to watch the next episode. I would die. But I am going to wait until I watch the OVAs before I watch the next episode, though. Before I start season 2, I'm going to be looking at Distress and Intruder, which are the two that happen and take place during... One has Jean backstory, so of course I want to watch it. And then the other one takes place during the training corps, the 104th Regiment. So I watch them together, and then No Regrets, Ilse's Notebook, do my review of everything, and then start season 2. So Titan Week's here. I hope y'all are ready. I'm excited. But y'all, what a season finale. So many questions. Some answers, not many answers, mostly more questions. Theories. I kind of see where character alliances are shifting. Like Jean and Armin have become quite a pair this episode or this season. So I could see them not wanting to part ways. Aaron and Mikasa, the whole other crew that were in the Survey Corps, where they're going. Annie, Hanji and Levi, Erwin. We got Marlo and Hitch. Just lots of things going on. And I'm really, really excited for episode 1 of season 2. So I am so curious to know your thoughts down below. Please no spoilers, or if you're going to be a spoiler, put a tag and say, Romania, do not read past this point, and then do your spoiler. Okay, so that way I know, and so I'm not reading, because y'all have been amazing about not spoiling me so far. I can't thank you enough. It's made going into episodes like these so much fun. So I know it's so tempting, but we can talk about things as we go and as things are revealed, but I'm so excited, y'all. But yeah, we got OVAs to watch and then start season 2. I'm ready for it. So yeah, exciting stuff. So in the meantime, I'm curious to know your thoughts down below. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and I'll be back soon with more Attack on Titan.